The Naked Gun has to be one of the most joke-dense films ever made, but exactly how many jokes are there in Naked Gun? It's questions like this that keep me wandering the streets at night. Embracing the future, we asked AI how many jokes are in the Naked Gun, and it responded with, "The original Naked Gun film is a spoof or parody of various movie genres, particularly cop dramas and detective films. In terms of a specific character named Joker, as seen in the Batman universe, there's no such character in the Naked Gun films. However, the 2025 remake contains a controversial joke referencing Q.J. Simpson, who played Detective Nordberg in the original series." So, I decided to find out the old-fashioned way, by Googling how many jokes are in the Naked Gun. It said an exact joke count isn't possible. Challenge accepted, my robot friend. We are going to do it the even older-fashioned way, with pen, paper, a calculator, and a DVD copy of Naked Gun.
Why?
It's time to count every single joke, bit, gag, fart, fall, and crash in the Naked Gun from the files of Police Squad. They say explaining a joke is like dissecting a frog. Sure, now you know what its guts look like, but the frog is dead and you'll never get the smell out of those gloves. So, I don't want a philosophical debate about what is or isn't a joke, but we do need to set some ground rules for what we're counting. For example, we're counting the baseball player spitting as one joke, instead of counting each spit individually. But once it cuts to the player's wives spitting, we count that as a new joke because it escalates the original joke. Now that we've established some ground rules, let's start the count.
Greetings, it is I, the Count, and it's time to answer that fascinating question.
The cold open is the first joke, a meeting between Arafat, Gaddafi, Khomeini, Idi Amin, and Gorbachev. There are 16 jokes before the opening credit, and then 6 jokes during the credits. There are 11 jokes in the opening scene with Nordberg on the boat. Jokes 27 through 33 are physical gags after Nordberg is shot. O.J. Simpson is, of course, famous for his physical comedy and nothing else. Only 7 minutes and 30 seconds into the movie, and we're already up to 33 jokes. That's an average of 4.4 jokes per minute. The gags in the opening scenes do a great job setting the tone of the comedy we are about to see in the rest of the movie. They also teach the audience early on that you will be rewarded if you pay close attention, with joke number 7 being a name tag on Yasser Arafat that reads, "Hello, my name is Yasser." And joke 10, a button on Gaddafi reading, "I lost 23 pounds, ask me how." If you're familiar with the references in the opening scene, the movie could feel a little dated, but you don't need to understand the references to get the jokes, or to get that they are jokes in the first place. You don't have to know who Khomeini is to find Three Stooges-esque physical comedy funny. The opening credits and first scene perfectly set up that this is a satire of police procedurals, establishing a genre and then subverting them.
Police! Throw down your guns!
The squad car in the opening credits begins as a genre trope and then literally turns into absurdism. One of the things that sets The Naked Gun apart from other spoof movies like the Scary Movie franchise and even other Leslie Nielsen films is that it knows when to not make a joke. It's not afraid to slow down and build to a joke. Laughter is a release of tension after all. Before you can release that tension, you have to build it. In the scene where Nordberg busts the drug deal on the boat, over a minute goes by until the first joke. Even then, it's a joke grounded in reality to keep building some tension. The introduction of Ricardo Montalban's Vincent Ludwig and the shooting of Nordberg are played serious. Then, finally, the tension is released with 7 gags in 24 seconds. Joke 34 is our first background joke as luggage is being thrown out of the plane behind Frank and Ed. Joke 35 features the film's first celebrity cameo, when the crowd at the airport Frank thinks are there to see him are actually there for Weird Al. Joke 40 reveals that the opening scene in Beirut was Frank's vacation. Joke 41 is possibly the most iconic boob joke in the history of cinema.
Everywhere I look, something reminds me of her.
Frank and Ed visit Nordberg and his wife in the hospital and deliver jokes 44 through 60.
Whatever scum did this, not one man on this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
Frank heads to the bathroom with a hot mic during a press conference, and we hear 10 jokes of the bodily fluid variety, culminating in joke 75, farts. Surprisingly, These are the only farts in the whole movie. In real life, Leslie Nielsen loved fart jokes. He often carried a fart machine with him to pull pranks on set and lighten up talk show appearances. Nielsen even has "Let Her Rip" written on his gravestone. Joke number 80 is a chalk outline in the water. Joke 82 is the stuff falling out of Frank's wallet when he tries to flash his badge. And joke 83 is the informant who bribes Frank back.
I can't tell you that.
Well, maybe this'll help.
It takes 14 jokes for Frank to break an unbreakable pen and kill a $20,000 fish in Ludwig's office. Joke 103 introduces us to Frank's love interest, Jane, and joke 110 introduces us to her beaver.
Nice beaver.
Thank you. I just had it stuffed.
Let me help you with that.
The beaver joke was used in all of the film's original advertisements. The film's commercials really laid into the more sexually charged jokes in the film, making it seem like a much dirtier movie than it actually is. The broadcast television version changes the line to
Nice one.
which comes off way more creepy and perverted than the real line. Joke 118 through 129 revolve around Frank's car. Frank's bad driving and consistent car crashes are a running gag throughout the film. Joke 132 is one of only a few jokes that break the fourth wall. This one, quite literally, as Frank walks around the set instead of going through the door in Ted Olson's lab. Joke 137 introduces Al, a man so large his head is out of frame. Joke 138 is a follow-up where Frank tells Al he has something on his face and a large chunk of banana falls on the desk. Both of these jokes first appeared in the television show that The Naked Gun is based on, Police Squad. A lot of people don't know that Lieutenant Frank Drebin first appeared on television in 1982, before hitting the big screen in 1988. 6 episodes of Police Squad were produced, but only 4 aired before it was canceled. There are quite a few jokes in the movie that first appeared in the show, but sadly, the show's classic freeze-frame closing bits are not among them. The tone of Police Squad was a little drier and less wacky than Naked Gun.
We're sorry to bother you at a time like this, Mrs. Twice. We would have come earlier, but your husband wasn't dead then.
A slightly smarter form of dumb comedy. So, how many jokes are in the 6 episodes of Police Squad? I don't know. I didn't count those.
Get me Pete Prusing at Homicide. Tell him I want to meet him and a few of his men down at the Acme Credit Union.
Right away, sir.
At the end of Act 1, we are at 141 jokes. 5 car crashes, 3 pratfalls, 2 farts, and 1 beaver. The jokes per minute average is up to 4.9. The first act of The Naked Gun is the closest to a police procedural like Dragnet or M Squad starring Lee Marvin. Most of the jokes that parody cop shows happen in the first act. The beginning of the film relies heavily on physical comedy. It dips into a little potty humor at the urinal, then really ups its verbal joke game with the introduction of Jane. Frank's conversation with the informant at the docks is hilarious, and Ed has some real bangers, but no one matches half-wits with Drebin like Jane.
How about dinner? I know this little out-of-the-way place that serves great Viking food.
That's quite a tempting offer, Lieutenant. But I'm afraid I'm going to have to get my rest this evening, tomorrow being Arbor Day and all.
Their conversations are jokes being answered with jokes, and then responding with another joke, stopping every now and then to throw in a physical gag. Their banter helps up the joke count for the rest of the film.
Same old story. Boy finds girl, boy loses girl, girl finds boy. Boy forgets girl, boy remembers girl. And girl dies in a tragic blimp accident over the Orange Bowl on New Year's Day.
Good year.
No, the worst.
There are 6 jokes all about this guy's name sounding like pap smear. Drebin returns to Nordberg's hospital room to deliver more punishment with jokes 155 through 160. Joke 161 kicks off a classic car chase scene where Frank commandeers a car that ends up being driven by a student driver being taught by an instructor. This is probably the best place to address the elephant in the room. The allegations over the years that Naked Gun creators Zucker, Abrams, and Zucker are joke thieves. A 1993 article in Spy magazine talks about a VHS tape that was circulated around Hollywood in the early 90s. It featured jokes from The Naked Gun cut together with similar jokes from other films and TV shows like Get Smart. Trolling someone was a lot more time-consuming in the 1990s. You couldn't just post a video online. You had to get multiple VCRs, dub cassettes, and send actual physical media in the mail. In recent years, internet sleuths have pointed out the similarities between jokes in The Naked Gun and jokes in the 80s television show Sledgehammer, a show that would have aired right around the time Naked Gun was being written. The most glaring similarities is a scene where the title character Sledgehammer commandeers a car being driven by a student driver. In fairness, people do come up with the same or similar jokes all the time, and there's only a finite number of jokes that can be made when you're parodying a specific genre. Still, this may be a case for the boys down at Police Squad to look into.
All right, move on. Nothing to see here. Please disperse.
Jokes 193 through 216 focus on the almost erotic wordplay between Frank and Jane, while jokes 217, 218, and 219 see them getting physical. The film's first music montage delivers us visual gags for jokes 220 through 227, and then joke 228 reveals that everything in the montage happened in one day. Joke 234 is a play on the music video credits that would play on MTV. If you understand that joke without me explaining it, it's time to get a colonoscopy. Jokes 235 and 237 are also dated. They are both about red-dyed pistachios that stopped being widely sold in the early 90s. Joke 239 is the classic bingo joke.
Bingo.
While jokes 245 through 265 are part of a beautiful cacophony of chaos that really shows off Leslie Nielsen as a physical comedian. We get 7 jokes about how old the food in Frank's refrigerator is, then 7 more jokes surrounding a shootout at a hot dog factory. Queen's reception scene raises the bar with a whopping 39 jokes, bringing the total up to 329. Don't Call Me Shirley isn't joke 330, that's from a different movie. Frank gets kicked off the force, setting up joke 333.
Just think the next time I shoot someone, I could be arrested.
Joke 340 has Jane admitting to Frank that she likes cops, and joke 341 shows the cops reacting. At the end of Act 2, by our count, we're at 342 jokes, approximately 6.4 jokes per minute. The relationship between Frank and Jane allows the second act to steer away from simply being a police procedural parody and into romantic comedy parody. The car crashes keep staying fresh even now that we've seen 8 of them. Frank's physical comedy keeps being heightened, and the gags are getting more surreal and absurd. One of the successes of Naked Gun as a comedic film is the way it keeps building on itself. When Frank visits Ludwig's office in Act 1, he kills his fish and breaks his pen. In Act 2, he burns the whole office down. The gags never get smaller, only bigger, and some of these bits will continue to escalate in the film's third act. The last 22 minutes of the movie takes place at a baseball game where the joke per minute ratio increases. Joke 343 shows us 7 people are doing commentary on the game, including Dr. Joyce Brothers. Joke 345 shows the Queen arriving and people sitting in her seats. Joke 347 introduces the world to opera singer Enrico Palazzo, but Joke 348 shows Frank knock him out. Jokes 350 through 361 involve Frank's horrible rendition of the national anthem while impersonating Enrico Palazzo. Just 2 years after this, Roseanne Barr would sing a bad version of the anthem before a baseball game, and nobody found it funny. Some jokes are better left on the big screen, I guess. Speaking of jokes, number 362 shows Frank knock out an umpire with a bat in order to take his uniform. That leads to joke 365 and a janitor walking in on Frank taking off the umpire's clothes, a bit that could have played out very bad in other 80s comedies.
Sorry, fellas.
Jokes 363, 366, and 368 are bloopers, and I'm counting Dick Enberg's reaction as its own joke because it's too funny not to. Joke 371 shows Ludwig finding a ring in his hot dog, then joke 372 is him finding the finger that ring belonged to. And after over 30 years of watching this movie, it wasn't until very recently that I realized the finger belonged to Ludwig's thug from earlier in the film. I didn't connect the dots between the hot dog factory in which the shootout took place and the hot dog Ludwig ate at the game. I just thought it was a joke about the weird things they make hot dogs with. It goes to show that no matter how many times you watch this movie, there may still be jokes you miss.
I realize that now.
We get a lot of gags where Frank pats down the players, a lot of bits with him dancing, and that leads us directly into the film's second music montage. This one contains 22 jokes, far outpacing the first montage's 8. we stay mostly with baseball jokes until Reggie Jackson attempts to kill the Queen. Joke 435 sees Frank tackle Reggie Jackson, causing a bench-clearing brawl that effectively ends the game. That means there were 63 jokes during the game. That's 63 more jokes than the baseball game in Field of Dreams, if anyone's keeping score. Joke 449 is a fan recognizing Frank as Enrico Palazzo.
Hey, it's Enrico Palazzo!
That famous line is delivered by Mark Holton, who was also Francis in Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I?
Jane points out that Ludwig has a gun in joke 445. Frank takes a hostage of his own with joke 458. Frank shoots Ludwig, causing him to fall off the building and leading to his slow, painful death across jokes 461 through 465, setting up Ed for joke 466.
My father went the same way.
The last two jokes of the movie show Nordberg showing up at the stadium only for Frank to injure him again. Final act is by far the film's shortest, but still manages to cram 149 jokes into only 22 minutes. I mentioned earlier the importance of building tension in comedy. Act 3 builds tension the entire time. They start by establishing the ticking clock of the Queen's assassination happening at the 7th inning stretch. Then there's the possibility of Frank getting caught, both as Enrico Palazzo and as the umpire. There is tension in the way Frank sings the anthem and tension in the way he calls the game. The continuous building of tension pays off over and over again with every release of laughter. It's a beautiful ebb and flow. Tension, joke, tension, joke. Just because the movie is over doesn't mean the jokes are. Naked Gun has jokes in the credits too, like crediting actors by their lines and telling people what to do in case of a tornado. They credit Al as being played by Tiny Ron. That's a joke because Ron is very large. But we aren't going to count it because Tiny Ron is what he went by in real life.
How about that?
So, here we are, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Drum roll, please.
The Naked Gun, unofficially, according to one guy on the internet, has 501 jokes. But wait, there are even more jokes in another version of The Naked Gun.
Oh, what? Oh, we're not finished counting. Ha ha.
For this experiment, I was counting jokes in the original theatrical release of the film. But if you grew up watching Naked Gun on basic cable, you likely saw a version of the movie with even more jokes. With a runtime of only 85 minutes, even with commercials, Naked Gun needed to add some stuff from the cutting room floor to make the 2-hour runtime needed for basic cable. This version has even more damage done to Nordberg, shows Frank taking an even longer walk, and has an additional exchange of money between Drebin and the informant.
You sniveling scum. You're not better than your old man.
My old man's dead.
I'm sorry, Johnny, I forgot.
Well, maybe this will help refresh your memory a little.
Oh, yeah, he is dead.
I counted an extra 44 jokes in the television version, but other jokes were cut or edited, putting the extended television version of The Naked Gun at somewhere around 540 jokes.
Now, where were we?
I don't remember.
So, of all the jokes in The Naked Gun, what's your favorite? Disagree with the number we came up with? Why don't you try spending 3 days of your life watching The Naked Gun frame by frame over and over again until you hate one of your favorite movies and see what number you come up with? Or you could just subscribe to Cinefix. We talk about this movie every now and then.